The Powers Project.
James, how are you today, sir?
I'm doing great, man. Happy to be here.
It's good to have you finally. I have to talk about your trip to Hawaii, so because I'm sure you're doing really well now that you just got back from Hawaii and relaxed from doing what you do.
Oh yeah, no, it was phenomenal. I'm a very active person, and we were just it was like a 10 total day trip of actually being there. Like we were gone for about 11 days, but I don't really count the 11th day because that's pretty much travel, so 10 like full days of really being there. And it was just so much fun. It was like such an action packed 10 days. Like every day we were out and about. We went paddle boarding to waterfalls, went on hikes to the top of mountains. I went surfing. I was actually impressed with my surfing skills. I caught some waves, no hang 10 or nothing like that, but it was just super fun. And yeah, like I was telling you before we started the interview, I was just taking a break from technology because I work on a computer all day, and it was just nice to just intentionally leave my phone and electronics at the house. And yeah, by the time I got home from the day, I was just tired because we were doing so much. So I was just ready to take a shower and just go to bed. So it was very very needed, I would say, for me, just to kind of step away, take a break. And I think that people deserve that for themselves. So
Right. So the reason I have you on the show today is I would like for you to tell people what it is you do, that you could afford to, especially now that like we talked about, gas prices are high, so flight prices are high now and stuff. But you didn't just go to Hawaii and just sit in your room. Like you explored Hawaii, you did all these things, and all that adds up to quite a bit of money. So what is it that you do for a living that you can afford this type of lifestyle and do it at your leisure?
yeah. So I help people start and grow online businesses, but primarily the people that I work with isn't just anybody. I don't do like Shopify stores or anything like that. It's more of people who teach things. And that can range from a lot of people, because I've seen people become very successful teaching hobby niches. It doesn't have to just be like, oh, I'm teaching somebody business or some business related thing. It could be, I'm teaching people how to play guitar, or I'm teaching people how to cook awesome meals for their family. And the way that we really make money is by selling courses or digital products and attracting those people through content marketing. And I'll go into all this throughout this podcast, I'm sure. But also there's just like coaching, just having conversations with people, getting to know people, and actually working with people one-on-one. And it totally depends on where somebody's at, but that's in a nutshell what it is that I do.
Let's say someone like me, let's take me for instance. I have a course that I'm creating, and it's a course about showing people how to love themselves. So now one of the things that I run into is, like, once you've created your course, and I'm sure this has happened to a lot of people out there who have, like you said, they have knowledge, they want to teach it. They go, well, where do I find people to find my course? And you show people how to do this, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that I think I geek out on more than actually building a course, because there are things that you can do to build a course, but anybody can build a course. That's not the hard part. The hard part is everything before that leads to building a course. The course is more like the icing on the cake, I would really say. And it is like the way that you deliver your knowledge and everything. It's what people pay you for. But what people really pay for is the transformation that your course is going to give them. So the more that we can articulate that transformation to these people, the better that the course is going to sell. And the question is, like, how do you articulate it to people that, like, this is so valuable? How do you get people to actually buy it? Because again, like, anybody can make some modules or buy Kajabi or Teachable, or make a WordPress site to host their course, or do YouTube and shoot videos. Anybody can do that. But where the real value is a heavy lifting before that in the customer research. That's in the content that you provide and the connection that you make with people to where they see that you are a trustworthy source. So I think that is far more important than, and honestly, every time I'm on a podcast, I talk more about like the content and the customer research piece than the course building itself, because it's way more important. It's what's going to make the course continuously sell, is when you get those kind of pieces right. But the way to answer your previous question, like how do you actually get people to find you and sell this course? And there's many different ways to do that. There's for me, I've built my business and continue to, and I love reliability. So I'm not trying to find like the next fad or be chasing Facebook ads. I've done Facebook ads and I've had some success with it, but I'm not like a Facebook ads guy. I'm a content marketing guy. So my 3 C's, I guess, to like coaching success that I have are conversations, content, and coaching. And the way that you actually market yourself and get the word out, which is what marketing is by doing those 3 things. Like, no, because like when you're teaching things, you're basically a coach, whether you like that term or not. Like you're coaching people, you're teaching, and that's what like coaches do, or consultants as well. And just sharing the knowledge, you're holding people accountable. There's so many things that go into it. And I love coaching. I love the profession. I love what it is. And I've paid for a lot of coaching myself.
Right.
But when you're having conversations with people, that's marketing. And you can just be talking to people. And I've spoken to people that were just friends and they work for a sales team. And I told them about my productivity course. I was like, yeah, I'm building a productivity course. And they're like, oh, I wasn't done with it yet. But they're like, well, when you're done with it, like, let me know. And I'll talk to my boss about it, and it's like, it's just from a conversation. So that's like one way. The other thing is when you're actually coaching people and you're giving people great results. And this, Kurt, because like you help people with like personal training and their health and well-being and their fitness. When you really help someone, they like hit their weight loss goal, maybe faster than they think, or they built the muscle the way that they wanted, and you were the guy that helped them, they're going to talk about you. They're going to rave about you because you were awesome. You gave them a great experience, and they're going to refer people to you. So the referral is just another way to market. And that's the coaching piece. The other piece is the content piece. Content, I think, is so valuable. And people say like content is king, because it is. But I think that there's like, not all content is created equal, or not all content platforms too are created equal. For example, Facebook compared to YouTube. I am a fan of evergreen content, which are things like YouTube channels, blog posts, and podcasts like this. Because with those 3 platforms or forms of content, they're evergreen. And evergreen means that basically when you put up a video on YouTube or make a blog post or a podcast episode, it's not going to go down unless you decide to take it down. With a Facebook post or an Instagram post, people would have to like go to your profile and like scroll down, but it's so easy for your content to just get lost in the ether, and you have to constantly be on it. I still use Facebook, but I use it more to be social, and it's the conversation piece that I was talking about earlier. That's how you and I connected and how I got on this podcast. But now I'm on a podcast talking about my brand, and we talk about like lead magnets and all that stuff. And I'm just very transparent about that because that's just how it works. But yeah, the content is huge. So what's cool is like, if you post content on YouTube and make videos, you're getting the auditorial, the visual senses to the people that are watching it. But what's cool about blog posts and YouTube channels, not so much podcasts, but it is is that people actually search for these things. So if people go in, because if you have a question about something, you're like, I want to learn how to lose weight. Then you go to YouTube or you go onto Google and you're like, I'm going to ask my questions because in the words of Gary Vaynerchuk, Google is your mom, and that's just what it is. Like you ask Google everything. You ask YouTube everything, and YouTube is owned by Google. And they have so much data that tells you like what people are actually searching for. So in the end, Google and YouTube actually end up working for you. Like YouTube suggests your videos to people that are looking up similar things. So when you find a really good topic, it's going to start pumping out that content, showing it to other people with impressions. And it works like a Facebook ad basically, but you're not paying for ads. And there's a lot of strategy that goes into YouTube. In my opinion, I think YouTube is the platform that people should be focusing on. And actually, I just got an email earlier today that I saw where this one guy that I've been following for a while, he's like, we're revamping up our YouTube channel because he's finally seeing the real value that YouTube provides. And I feel like a lot of people just don't see that, or they don't understand it, or they don't want to put the time into actually being on video. And there's so many ways to leverage YouTube, but with content marketing, not to go off like a huge tangent, you have this product, this service that you want to provide to people, and you want to teach people your passion. assuming that you've done the good research, you know it's something you're passionate about and that people find valuable. Then you have to start creating content around it and answering people's questions. And there's a lot, we could talk about with content if you have specific questions.
I do.
But
if I can, let me stop you there just for 1 second, because you made mention of this just now and then earlier. One of the things I see is, like, with a lot of people who do what you do, they're telling you, don't worry about the content. Sell your course and then make the content. Now, I don't know about you, and I don't know what your advice is going to be, but I would freak out if I sold something and go, I don't have anything yet. And now I have to produce that content. For me, I mean, again, this is just me. And tell me if this is wrong and I'm looking at it wrong, is that I want to know that what I have is of value before I sell it and then find out, oh, it's not as valuable as I thought it was going to be.
100%. No, you're 100% right. And I absolutely agree. I know what people do talk about is pre-selling a course, where you do like a workshop and you sell the first module, or you really sell the whole course, but you present the first module. And then the next week you present the next module, kind of like a drip course, but you're creating it every single week, just one module at a time. Right. It is a strategy. And some people, it really works. I've worked with people where I've presented that option to them and they're like, that sounds way too stressful to me. Yeah. They'd rather have like ducks in a row, right? Launch the course, call it a day. I think that you should build an audience with people, like an email list ultimately, because that's another thing, is having a good email list that you market to. And a lot of people say email's dead, but it's not, and not at all, not in the slightest. And that's like just another avenue that you have. But I think that with content and creating content, people start commenting on your posts, like YouTube, or they start sending you emails. And, you get to learn more about your people. And really, like, when you're teaching things and you're working with people, you're in a people business. Coaching no coaching relationship was ever built out of a conversation. Even when you like do sales copy, that's still a conversation that you're having with people. But especially like working one-on-one, you want to actually talk with the person, make sure you guys connect, you mesh, you similar beliefs, and it's a good fit. It's a relationship. So in order to like really sell products, you do have to understand your people. And that's what I mentioned before. But by creating content, you find what people are actually interested in that follow you, with the content that you're creating. Like with fitness, maybe it's like how to lose weight in your face. And that topic is just blowing up. So you can create more content around that. You can create a course that like specializes in that being a focus. And people would be like, oh, I really want to learn that result. I want to get that result. But you only learn that by like creating content, actually getting to know people and doing research and all of that. So I think that, with what you're saying, where some people say like, oh, build your course, build your product first and then create content. No, I don't think that it's a good strategy unless they're talking about like pre-selling, where that is an option, but it has to make sense for you in your specific situation. It's just a different kind of approach.
Okay. And what about people who don't have a course, they don't have content, but let's say they have a product, or do you help people do that as well? Because I know you said, I don't get into the whole, what did you call it? I don't want to say drop shipping because it's not that kind of
like Shopify.
Yeah, like Shopify. Yeah. You don't do all that. But what if someone has a product or products that they want to sell? Does your course work for them as well as it does for people who have like content instead of product?
So when you say a product, what do you mean by that?
Like,
if it's go ahead.
People will try to build a business off of maybe t-shirts and things of that nature. They think that they'll build like a t-shirt company or something like that has different sayings or slogans or things like that. Or they might have access to a particular product that they get cheaper than it could be bought anywhere else, and they can turn around and sell it for a profit or whatever.
Yeah, no, that's more like a Shopify kind of expert. That's not me. I'm more of like, if you were a sales rep and you were the top sales rep in your company or something, and you had 25 years of experience, and you said, I want to actually go and start my own thing. I actually have a client that did that. And yeah, that's way a better of a person, that's gonna, and you would be like teaching other people what you learned and the success that you've had, the practices of like, um, not manipulation. I was about to say that. No, of oh God, what is the word? Oh man, I just completely blanked. Um, Geez, interrogations popping into my head. This is all wrong. No, but negotiation. That's what it is. Sorry about that. I'm just like, no, Jay's going down the wrong path. Negotiation, and like being respectful with people, and kind of those timeless principles of like sales. So if that is like what you're really good at, and now you want to go teach it to people, that's a better fit for me. But like you getting wholesale pricing on t-shirts or cups or something like that and flipping it around to sell it, that's not my specialty by any means.
Gotcha. But what you see is like, unlike like a t-shirt business, like Shopify business, what you see with what you do is that content, when you have quality content for, for whatever knowledge that you have and that you're selling, that this is something that, like you said, it's always, it's passive income, because it's not, you've created a course and you've sold the course, and now as people come, more and more people come to find it, because as you had mentioned earlier, it really is, word of mouth. You're right. When I first started personal training, I took a little classified ad out. I got some clients, and I never paid for ad after that, because I would train my clients in the gym, and everyone would see the results they got. And so then other people would just come to me because they wanted the results that my clients were getting. So I never had to advertise after that. So once you have, you have valuable content, and people, are raving about your content and what it's done to transform their lives, it sells itself.
Yeah. Well, that's what's cool about evergreen content. When we're talking about content with me, we're talking about evergreen content. So like YouTube videos. I'm just going to use YouTube as an example. Because like here, just real quick, when I make a YouTube video every week, I can convert the same exact piece of content into a podcast episode. And I can convert that same exact piece of content into a transcribed blog post. So I'm killing multiple birds with one stone, for lack of a better term, and it's just like, I would focus on YouTube. You can still have a podcast with the same piece of content. You literally just uploaded it into a free software called Anchor that puts you on every single platform: Google Podcasts, Apple Podcast, Spotify Podcast, and a bunch of other ones like Podchaser and stuff that, I've never heard of before, but I'm on them. So you can get on all of those for free with Anchor. Okay. And there's even more tools that do the same thing. And then you can use like transcribe.com or otter.ai to put the same exact video, the YouTube video, just upload it into there, and it will pull the words that you said from your video, make it into a blog post. You just have to go through and like clean it up yourself, or have an assistant do it, depending on where you're at, so when you're making YouTube videos, like I said, like it doesn't come down until you decide to unlist it or completely delete the video because you just don't want it to be up there for some reason. So you have a lot more control rather than just like putting up a Facebook post, because every time people post, your post gets knocked down. There's billions and billions of people on Facebook at a time. And Facebook just changes the rules. Instagram changes the rules. TikTok, they'll change the rules. TikTok is right now more favorable towards like new people and just content in general because it's a newer platform. But people are starting to do more ads and stuff on TikTok. And once the ads start coming through, it's so competitive too. And you have to pay money. A lot of people, don't have the kind of money that you really need to actually like run successful ads. Plus, like I said, like Google or YouTube, it's like having an ad, it's just that people are actually searching for that, not getting interrupted by some advertisement on their Facebook feed. And what happens every time you see an ad? Like, how often do you actually click on the ad and say, oh, this is exactly what I wanted? Very rarely. It's usually when I hear people talk about ads, they're like, I can't stand ads. It's so annoying to have an ad. When I watch a YouTube video to look for the thing that I wanted and there's an ad, I'm waiting to hit skip ad. People, that's just the nature of it. And people are paying so much money for ads when if they're actually looking for a video, you pop up and you're just giving them awesome content that's actionable, that's going to really help them, and that's engaging for them, and it's expressing who you are. All of that stuff makes your content way more successful. And like I said before, YouTube is going to suggest that content to people with similar search results, like their search history.
All right, so I have two questions for you. One is I think everybody, or at least I do, I get YouTube and I get podcasting. I've never gotten blog posts and I don't understand it. So you're telling me the blog posts are still to this day things that people search out and basic and I don't even know, like, where do you put a blog post and how do people find your blog post, and what is it, just your content in written form? Is that what it is?
Yeah. So when I make a blog post, I personally, people have different blog posts, but I will embed my YouTube video at the top of the blog so people can watch the YouTube video. And by embedding it, I still get the watch time. And so I can get rewarded for YouTube. People can still subscribe on my blog. And then underneath that is the written form of the same exact piece of content. So people can read it or they can listen to or watch the YouTube video. To say that blog posts are dead or that they're not, they're not new, they're not the thing anymore, it's so wrong. Like when people say stuff like that, it's like, when you have a question about something, what do? You go to Google or you go on to YouTube. And like, I read blog posts all the time to learn things about like relationships or about my fitness or about business. I'm always reading blog posts. Not to say that like you have to. I would say like if you're starting out or you're trying to get, more regular with one of those podcasts, blog posts, or YouTube, think about what you're good at. Like obviously YouTube, I feel, rewards people a lot more. And I feel like YouTube works for you a lot more than like a podcast. But podcast, there's like pros and cons to all of them. Podcasts
Right.
have really loyal listeners. Some people love to write and they're really good. Some people are terrible at writing. I'm not good. I've tried to write a blog post and it took me like 4 hours. It would be like, oh man, I had to keep revisiting it. Maybe even took me like a day. It was ridiculous. And I'm like, I can't do this. Like I consistently, it's just too much for me. But then I found out, oh, I can just transcribe it and I can go through and I can knock that out really fast because it's already written for me. I just have to make it, make sense and look good when like a format. But no, I mean, people look up blogs all the time. And I feel like now since like the pandemic and all that, it's even more relevant. I think it's even boosting even more that people are they're on the internet even more than they already were beforehand. And people are learning how to start an online business, and reading blogs about it and watching YouTube videos about it. And like, how can I make another thing of income because pandemic hit and it was a huge impact on my income, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that blogs are even more relevant to this day.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask you about something that you mentioned in your 5 steps for to create an automated income, and one of the things was you said, let me see, how to build a business on generosity. So how do you build a business on generosity? So and I don't know if this question is going to make sense to you or not. To me, I go, okay, if you're doing a blog, you're doing YouTube, and you're putting in your content out there in segments, at some point, haven't you put all your content out there? And so the course that you're selling is kind of out there for free. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes, and it can be. And people are like, well, how's my course going to be different from my content? Because I'm a huge fan of like, give people like better content than what everybody else is doing. Like
Right.
give away the goods, give away your quote unquote secrets, give away that stuff. Because you think about it, like the difference from content to a course is that content is like buckshot. You're kind of like, I'm going to put out a topic today to get discovered, really, and answer people's questions, add value out into the marketplace. But it's like buckshot. You're just throwing out content. You have, ideally, like what I do when I work with people is we create content buckets or themes of your content, I guess. So if it was like a fitness coach, for example, you would have like nutrition as a bucket, and you would jot down a bunch of ideas about what you could talk about in terms of nutrition. Then you would have like weight loss could be another thing, or it could be like cardiovascular health, and it could be all these different like topics that you have, and you just cycle through them. And what's cool about content is like, you could think that I'm going to run out of content ideas, but when you create buckets, and we have a little system that we do, you realize that there's so much to talk about. And if you posted once a week on YouTube or did a blog post once a week or a podcast, I would say once a week is like minimum. If you can do more, that's better, because the more content you can put out, the better, of good quality. If you want something that's sustainable for you, putting that stuff out, that's like 52. It's 52 pieces of content throughout the week, or for the whole entire year. I mean, so you could just create 52, and you could do that so fast. Like if you could do this little like create buckets, come up with like subtopics for that, you realize that you have way more than 52. And there's also like reaction videos, like the slap, Will Smith's slap for Chris Rock. I knew it was going to happen. As soon as that happened, I was like, people are going to be posting so much content about this. Then they started doing content, reaction videos, like all this kind of stuff, my 2 cents on the slap, and it's like things happen in life all the time, and you can create reaction videos or like your opinion videos. And there's so many things that you can do. You just have to really get creative with the content. When I talk about like building a business on generosity, you giving so much separates you from all the other content creators, because chances are like there's pretty much content about everything out there, like business, online business. It's ridiculous. It's like insane how much content is out there and how competitive it is. But also like being a fitness coach or a relationship coach,
Right.
there's so much. And like how are you different from them? Well, when people look up something and you have, like, in terms of YouTube, a catchy title with a good thumbnail that is intriguing for people, they click on it, and then you got a great intro, you have great content that's actionable, it's going to help them, you're expressing you, which is something that's huge, because people are going to resonate with the way that you talk more than the way that I talk, and vice versa. Even if we were talking about online business, or both talking about health and fitness or self-love or whatever it is, we were both talking about the same thing, equally quality content topics, people are going to resonate with both of us differently.
Absolutely.
And I think it's something huge that people don't think about. And they're like, well, like I'm a nobody. I was talking with somebody the other day about this whole process, and they were like, but I'm a nobody. And it's like, no, you're not. Like, stop. Like, I should smack you, like get out there, just create content, be you. It's something so valuable, because nobody else can be you. Nobody else can be Kurt Powers. Nobody else can be me, James Allen, even if their name is James Allen, because it's a really common name, but they can't be me. You know what I mean? So I think that that's just a huge piece to it.
I think that's you make a great point, and I think that's such great advice, because people, they don't understand that. They don't understand that, Alan Davis. I'm Alan Davis. Who am I? I'm a nobody. Well, Alan Davis, there are going to be people who listen to you that don't listen to James, don't listen to me, because you resonate with them. And that's the thing. It's like, and with the experience that people have through their life, everybody has something they're good at.
Yep.
I'm a firm believer in that they have more knowledge. That if I'm looking, like, for instance, I'm looking for the knowledge that you have, so I know that I'm a great personal trainer, and I have the knowledge of that I need to transform people's lives, to transform their bodies, but I don't know how to do what you do. And so you resonate with me. Now, I've heard other people, Gary Vaynerchuk resonates with me, because he says much of what you say. Like, you can put all the content in, and since Gary, I know you know this as well. Gary will say, hey, I'll tell you, I'll give you everything for free. I'll tell you, but you're not going to do anything with it, because that's why I can give it, because most of you aren't going to do a damn thing with it anyway. So I understand the generosity. That's how I was, that's how I am as a personal trainer. I've always told people, advice is free. I'll be happy to give you all the advice that you'd like. I only charge when you want my time. When you want to come and train with me, then I charge you. But if you want advice, I'm happy to help you out with whatever you need. And it's always come back to me a million times over. Seriously.
Totally. And yeah, like you said, like this goes back to like content versus the product. When people pay for something, they have skin in the game. And if people paid for a course because they put money, just the sheer fact that they put money in it, their brain is in a completely different state of mind now when they approach the content. It could be a collection of the best content that you've put out on YouTube or in your blog post that you shot in like a video course. I think video courses are way more powerful than just like an ebook personally. You can also do like an audio course that I've done about like relationships as well. I haven't done it myself, but I've taken a course like that. Super valuable. The thing is that if it gets people the result that they want and that the course promises them, that's the most important thing. And a course is like a step-by-step sequential order that you have to accomplish a specific result. If it was like lose 30 pounds in like 30 days or something, I don't know if that's ridiculous or what, but if it's like, that's what the course is promising, then it's going to walk you through step-by-step how to do it, the process, all of that kind of stuff. It puts it more in a process, unlike content, which is just buckshot. It's getting discovered. That's the whole point of the content, and it's evergreen, so it's always working for you. YouTube is suggesting videos for me right now. Like right this second, I'm getting views, getting subscribers, getting opt-ins and all that stuff. When we talk about building the business on generosity, like you can put out all the content you want and you can get discovered and stuff. But if you don't actually get those people into like your little ecosystem on your email list and all that, then you can't really make customers. So the way that you do that is by giving generosity a lead magnet away. And a lead magnet is just like a step-by-step guide. And inside my 5-step guide, which is a lead magnet, by the way, that is it walks you through like components of a good lead magnet, like what to consider, different lead magnets to get started, all that kind of stuff. But it's just something short, digestible. That's going to help somebody with a specific thing. And it resonates with your audience, which goes back to like why you need to understand your avatar and why you need to understand your audience better. And that's just a never ending thing. But inside your content, you're creating content that's super valuable for this person. Like it's helping solve a specific challenge that they had that they searched, like how to lose weight. And you're teaching them like, you got to get your nutrition in, you got to exercise, et cetera, et cetera. But the way that you're explaining it by being you and stuff, it's going to resonate with that person. And then somewhere in your content, in the beginning or the end or in the middle or all of them, you always in your content offer your lead magnet. And I say offer, you just say, hey, speaking of which, I have this awesome free thing that's going to help you. Just click the link in the description or go to mysweetwebsite.com/guide. And they click on that link. It goes to a squeeze page, which is just like a very simple page where the person has two options. They can either put in their email address to get their guide, or they can leave the page. Two options. So ideally they put in their email address. And then because that person gave you an email address, they're a more qualified candidate than, just like a common looky-loo. Because there's way more people that see my content than that actually opt into my content, to get the free guide or to get my planner or whatever. So it just goes to show like you're filtering through people. And then inside, once they're on your email list, you're giving them more free content. And from there, you can create like an automatic email funnel that gets triggered as soon as somebody puts in that email address to deliver the lead magnet or whatever the goodie is. It could be a workshop or a free guide, which is what I recommend, or a checklist, because they're really easy to make, especially if you're starting out. And then from there, it transitions into adding more value and then ultimately leads to selling your course, because they're getting so much value from your content. And then your lead magnet is giving them a specific quick win or result. They're like, dude, this guy's awesome. And then you teach them even more, generating more value for this person. And then it goes into being like, hey, I have a whole entire course that walks you through this stuff step by step, or it gets you this result. They're going to be way more interested in actually buying your course, because like they look that stuff up. They are actively like searching for you. And why it becomes passive is because you can have a course, you can have an automatic email responder that sells that course. And your content, if it's evergreen, like YouTube, is always working for you because it's always being suggested to people. So it over time will become this like streamlined system that you have. And that's really what I help people build, is putting all the pieces together and doing the customer research and, going over limiting beliefs or whatever they have of like, nobody likes me and nobody cares what I have to say. It's like, dude, come on. The only question that you need to ask is, can you help people? That's it. Right. If you say yes, 100%, you're good. You're golden. Now you just got to get out there and start putting the pieces together. And I help people put those pieces together, so.
Well, like I said, I'm glad that I found you and that I, reached out to you, because I was like, I definitely want to have you on the show, because I know that it's something that a great deal of people in my audience will want to hear, but I knew it was something I wanted to hear too. So, and I've
Cool.
gotten so much information out of you today that we're going to talk after this, and as far as your course goes. So why don't we do this? Why don't we take your lead magnet, your 5 free steps that you give for creating an automated income, and let's go over those 5 steps for people, and let them see, like, the kind of content that you give, and how it can help them, and how, by taking your course, it can, it could deliver them the kind of income that they're looking for, passive income as well, to have the kind of life that they can be their own boss, and live life the way they want to live it, rather than, working 9 to 5 and going to work begrudgingly because they don't like where they're
Sure. Yeah. I love it. Yeah. Let's go in.
All right. So let's start with your first step, which is how to find your big profitable idea.
Yeah. So when you're finding your big idea, this is obviously the first step. Like I mentioned before, you want to do research. You want to connect with people. You want to actively look out and, send people surveys. It depends on where you're at. Like if you're starting out and you have 0 people on your email list, then, maybe sending out a survey to your list doesn't really make sense because you don't have anybody. But a couple great options, there are many ways to do it, is number one, you can look up like Google Trends. You can just type in your topic for, let's just use like losing weight as an example, or fitness. You can type in like how to lose weight and see what the kind of search results are. And I mean, really, like even before you think about that, like if someone, let's just imagine somebody starting like bare bones from the beginning, I have no clue what I could even like start a business on, because you're going to go through the same exact process when you're making a course. And every time you make a course, you should do the same exact process, but it's going to be more specific towards what the course is about. But if it's like your business, for example, and you say, well, I really want to help people, like I like weight loss, but I also like productivity and like organizational skills. And I also like cooking a lot, or I like playing guitar. Like you have a bunch of hobbies and passions and stuff. So the first thing we want to do is just brainstorm all of those. Get a Google Doc or get a notepad. Kurt, you're more like a notepad guy from what I've understood. But you get your notepad or something and just brainstorm as many ideas as you can. Try and get like 5 to 10 or even 20 ideas of things that you're passionate about. Don't negate anything. If you like eating pizza and you're passionate about that, throw it on there, But what we want to do after that is see, like, these are the things I really am passionate about, I'm knowledgeable about, I have expertise in, or I'm skillful at. It could be handcrafting, I don't know, wooden owls or something like that. Like it could be literally anything, because people pay for skills and to learn things and to become better people, and more knowledgeable people. So from there, you want to actually go out and do some research. And there, like I said, there's a couple different ways to do it. With if you have like 20 ideas, go through and pick like the top 3 that are like the best ones and make the most sense, and you feel that people would find value. It's just that you feel. We want to find that people actually do think it's valuable. So you could just look on the internet, you could type in your topics. Google Trends is great because it shows you what people are actually looking at. And if it's got like if you type in YouTube or passive income, I know that those topics are really high search topics. If you type them in, there's going to be like a really high thing, and you can look a video up on how to like use Google Trends properly, but it's really simple. You can also go onto Amazon, because if you're thinking about teaching something, somebody has probably made a book about it. So go to Amazon book reviews. And if you type in like weight loss books, then it's going to give you a bunch of ideas about weight loss books. And you want to look for a book that has a lot of reviews, that is like it kind of resonates with you in terms of what you want to help people with. You click on the book, go look at the reviews. Pro tip, ignore the 5-star and the 1-star reviews. You can look at them if you want, but I would say the real like gold is in the 4, 3, and 2-star reviews. I usually go for the 3 just at first, and I'll kind of browse to the 2 and the 4. The 5-star and the 1-star are going to be totally biased about this book is great or this book sucks. Okay, so we want the middle people. The middle people are going to be like, this book was really good, but there was also this missing, or I didn't like this book, but there were some really good points where they talked about . And what you want to do with this whole process too is create a Google Doc or something. I like Google Doc. You can do it on pen and paper. Google Docs just makes it so much easier, or a notepad that you have, or like a notes section on your phone, to where if you're on the computer looking at Amazon book reviews, you can just highlight the things that stand out and that people are talking about that they really wanted this book to cover, or that they really enjoyed about this book and something that really helped them. And it takes digging, but it's more of like treasure hunting than work per se, even though it is work, because you're looking for those things that are going to be sticking out for people. And then a lot of people keep talking about, maybe you read through 20 different reviews and everybody's saying that they love this one thing about the book. You can jot those things down, put them over into your document, and just copy paste them over to a Google Doc that you can access anytime, anywhere. So that's one. The other thing is to go onto YouTube. And if you just type in on YouTube, not specifically about video topics, like you do want to see if there are video topics about what you want to teach, but specifically click on one that has a lot of engagement. And then you scroll down to the comment section. And in the comment section, you do the same exact process. You just see what people are talking about. A lot of times it's just like, oh, like I like your personality. You delivered this very well, which is good stuff to pay attention to as well. But you want to look for the gold, which is where people say, this is like something that's been keeping me up at night, and things along those lines. And you can find like what people really find valuable, because this big idea that you have that's going to be profitable, I would take like time with this whole process and just doing research, having conversations with people. If it was fit, I mean, we obviously know that fitness and nutrition, all that, and weight loss is one of the biggest challenges like in the human race at this point, because obesity rates are just so high. So it is valuable, and you do know that, but you should still do this process to find like your approach. Maybe you can do a little bit of a different approach or word things a bit different than rather than just like starting a fitness company. But yeah, have conversations with people and ask them like, what's your biggest challenge or frustration related to losing weight, or related to building an extra income stream. Maybe people are like, I don't know where to start. I struggle with imposter syndrome. There's all these different things. You don't want to like guess it. I mean, a lot of times you can just guess these things, but you really want to get the words from people, because with this document that you're creating, you can also put that into your sales copy and your emails you send out to people and your posts that you make and videos that you make, because you're literally speaking the words from people's pain points and their dreams and desires. It's coming from people. And that's really what the whole business is about. It's about people. Okay. So with the big profitable idea, I don't want to take like way too much time on this because it's really in depth, but you want to find the intersection of something that you are very passionate about and that you love to like read about on weekends, or you love to watch videos on, and also that a lot of people find valuable. That intersection is the sweet spot, because a lot of people are looking for it. They're interested in learning how to do something like lose weight. And yeah, you can find their specific pain points and communicate that message better to people. Because the better that we can communicate the pain points and the frustrations and the dreams that people have to them, then the more successful that we're going to be. Okay. And I think it's just a skill set that you need to develop. I'm really big on skill sets, like communicating with people. It doesn't matter if Facebook changes the algorithm or completely disappears, because I'm not doing posts, like strategic, like types of posts, like 2-step posts, for example. Hey, I have this free thing. Who wants it? People just take the free thing and then run away. Like, it's more about creating conversations and all that kind of stuff. And I'm really big on skills. So developing the skill set of good customer research is going to be huge for your success.
Right. And let me just add this real quick, because one of the things, obviously for me, having been a personal trainer for over 35 years, or owning gyms and doing what I do for that long, the obvious course for me to start would have been something along the lines of, weight loss, building muscle, that sort of thing. But I didn't want to do it because I've been doing it for so long, it would have bored me. And so it's not to say I won't go back at some other time and do this course later on, but I wanted to do something different that mattered to me. And I think a lot of people, what paralyzes them is that they have, like you were mentioning, they might have 3 or 4 or 5 different things that they could help people with, and they don't know which one to pick. Now, I'm all about coaching, and that's why I love having you on here, because I think that when people are looking, how can I get things for free all the time, they never end up doing anything, because they're not willing to put skin into the game, as you said. I had a coach who helped me, just because again, I was torn, like, which story do I want to tell? And I thought I knew. When I got done taking this course, I knew for a fact the story that I was meant to tell, and I would have never guessed that on my own. But his course was so valuable to me because it made the picture so clear for me as to what it was, that what my course needed to be about, that it was worth double, triple the money, just because it saved me all this time, trying to decide which one I'm going to do, and then probably not do any of them because I don't know,
analysis paralysis. Yeah,
exactly. So that's why I encourage people, like just the advice that you've given today, that if you have a course out there and that you want to get out to the world, they need to come and take your course and learn how to do it properly. And they'll actually do it once they have skin in the game, and you show them step by step, rather than, like you said, when you put content out and it's buckshot, like they're not learning it in the order that they really need to learn it in order to make it work for them. So,
sure.
Yeah. So I just wanted to say that I'm all, look, Michael Jordan was the greatest basketball player ever, and he had a coach. And I was like, if Michael Jordan, as the greatest basketball player ever, had a basketball coach, and I'm not talking about Phil Jackson, I'm not talking about the coach for the Bulls, but a personal coach, if he can learn as the greatest player, everybody can learn. And so you should take advantage of coaches out there who can help you have a much clearer view of what it is you need to do and how to do it. So
totally. Well, what's interesting too about that is that Michael Jordan was a better basketball player than his coach. And I think people, which is interesting because people were like, oh, there's a difference between mentorship and getting a coach. It's good to follow people who've done the path, but also, like, a lot of people will pay for a coach that, I've worked with people that are far more successful than I am, vice presidents of companies and stuff like that. And it's like, that's okay. Because, like, with Michael Jordan's coach, he can tell Michael Jordan the things that he can't see.
Right.
And he brings those things up, and you just need that, and paying for that external eyes and ears, that is huge. And I think people don't really understand that, like, someone to really call you on, like, you're doing it wrong,
Right.
And they're obviously knowledgeable and they have experience with what they're teaching. Like, I'm sure his coach maybe wasn't the best basketball player, but he was really smart because he's done a lot of research and he knows a lot about the game and about proper technique and form and all that. And it's the same thing with fitness coaching. I do CrossFit personally, and I've coached CrossFit as well. And there was people, this one lady was doing a push press, just pushing the barbell from her shoulders overhead. And she was like, just had bad position. She was like, I could just tell she was hurting her back. And she's like, yeah, I'm hurting my back. I told her that. I was like, here, like, brace your core, make sure your torso is upright. She kept, like, dropping her chest. And finally, we made a couple adjustments. She shot up more weight, more efficiently, and she felt fine. Just a simple change of positioning. Now her back wasn't hurting. And she's like, I walked away. I'm like, awesome job. Walked away. And she's like, I can't thank you enough for that. Like, it doesn't hurt my back anymore. Now I know what to pay attention to. And I was like, that's why you have a coach, Right. So a coach is there to help us stop dropping our chest in that sense. You know what I mean? But anyway, that's my 2 cents on that.
Analogy. All right, let's go to number 2, because I know I only have you for a short period of time here. So number 2 is who your target audience is and what they find valuable. Now, I know you spoke on this a little bit, so if you want to elaborate a bit more.
Yeah. So I'll keep it short, because we can definitely get through all these, but I want to just really emphasize the importance of doing good customer research with people. I think it's something that a lot of people just overlook. They're like, oh, I don't need to do that. I just need to make a course, put it out there, and it'll sell. No, that's not how you virtually guarantee that a course will sell. Because when you know that people care about it and they want to learn about it and it's important to them, then that the course will sell.
Right, James,
instead of just,
I'm sorry, can I stop you there just for a second? Because I know the question that people are going to ask, because you said, do your research. People are going to say, where do I do my research? Where do I find out, who my customer?
Well, that's what I was saying before. Yeah. No, that's where like you find the idea, and then you go out and you look at the book reviews, you have conversations with people, and where you find the real audience is that in this Google Doc that you have where you're copy pasting. Or I mean, I love Google Docs because I can pull it up on my phone too. And I've been like at the gym and I talked with someone. I made a course called Peak Focus Academy. It's about productivity and being more efficient with your time and energy. And inside of that, I asked people who worked remotely or worked for themselves, you know, in an online space, like, what's your biggest productivity challenge? And people just told me, oh, it's this. So I'd write that down, ask some more questions, and kind of dig a bit deeper with them. But the way that you find like the real audience is by looking for trends. If like I was looking for like profit your knowledge, you know, and talking to people about it, and just like the prime candidate for me are coaches, like really. And there's like a whole thing about like coaches coaching coaches and all this kind of stuff, but like I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. But basically what you're going to find is like, if it's about weight loss, maybe you're going to find that like the people that you resonate with are, you know, 40-year-old women, you know, women in their 40s that are trying to lose weight. I actually have a client that's her thing. You know, she loves to help women over 40 lose that stubborn body fat. And that's like very niche. But after time and time of working and studying her audience and everything, that's who she has found her prime candidate to be, which is why this thing doesn't just like happen super fast. Like, I'm not going to promise people like instant success because it just can't, you know, and people are in different places in their life. And it's like Warren Buffett said, nobody wants to get rich slow. You know, I think I told you on our first call. And it's like, yeah, but like when you do that, you create more reliable systems and everything. And eventually you'll get to a point where you can, you know, go travel around or hang out on the beach or have coffee with a friend and be able to make money while you're doing it and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So just look for trends. That's the biggest things in the type of people that you're talking to, the type of people that are sharing similar information that makes sense to your passionate idea and that they find valuable. And that's how you're really going to find that audience.
Very good. All right. And then we talked about how to build a business on generosity and giving your giving your content, putting it out there and giving advice and helping in conversations and things of that nature. You know, and it comes back to you. It always comes back to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, yeah, it's the whole principle of giving. That's like the Go Giver. It's one of the best books on business ever created. I think just being a human is the Go Giver by Bob Burg. Such a good book. And I actually just reread it, and it's just great. Have you read that book?
No, I haven't, but
I
was gonna say I'll write it down, but now I have you on here, I can just go. I'll go back through this and I'll go, okay, Go Giver.
Yeah. Oh, it's a great book. Yeah, the Go Giver. And it's just about like 5 principles of success. But if you think about like having a fire, you can't get heat, which is what you want from this fire to cook your food or just to be warm, until you give it wood and you give it attention and time and attention to spark the flame and to get the fire going. So it's nature, it's human nature. It's like the universal nature of how this world works is that we have to give before we can really get, you know, and there are times where you get things, but I imagine that before that ever happened, you were giving, you know, and it just happened to be your time to get and receive, and you have to be open to receiving. I could talk a whole day about all that stuff.
I'm a big believer, as I know you are, that you get what you give. Like the universe, whatever you put out to the universe is what you're going to get back from the universe. So if you're going to hold on to everything tight and not give anything of yourself, or you know, or think of anyone other than yourself, that's then you're going to be alone. Yeah. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, so I think the next step is where we're talking about content creation. We talked about lead magnets, which was step number 3. We can go deeper into it if you have specific questions. I think that people by now, if you've been listening to this episode, you can understand my importance on evergreen content and making it valuable and answering people's questions. And, you know, you do that by the customer research that you do. That's how you answer people's questions, because when people go onto Google or YouTube, they ask a question. How do I do this? You know, ways to approach leaving my job. You know, those are all questions that people have that a lot of people are asking. So that's why the customer research is so important and so valuable. And that's going to translate into creating content that's actually valuable.
So with the content that, like, your number 4 is the best type of digital product. And that is just any type of teaching content. Is that what you're saying?
When I say the best type of digital product, I'm talking about video courses,
Oh,
online video courses, because you can create like an ebook. You can do affiliate marketing, which isn't really like, a digital product per se, but it's just ways to make income. Kind of like you were talking about with like the wholesale. Well, that's another way that you can sell. It's like a product that you can sell digitally, even though it is a physical product as well. But with an online video course, it's more valuable than a book per se. Books are super valuable. I love reading books and listening to books on Audible and everything. With an online video course, you can just teach a lot better, for one, and you put it in a sequential order for people, so it's organized, and it's a way more valuable product. And it shows you, a common misconception is that you have to be on camera the entire time for a course, but you don't. I make my courses on Keynote, Apple Keynote, and then I record it with a nice microphone, and it creates good audio quality. And it actually, I feel that it teaches people better, and I learn better that way by seeing like the bullet points and everything. It breaks it up. It just looks way better.
so
Yeah, go ahead.
so in your course, you show people how to create these video courses, or whatever it is that they decide that they want to create. And then you also talk about how much to sell it for, because I think that's for a lot of people, they'd go, well, what are people going to pay me for it? And I think
Yeah.
a lot of times they think, oh, well, I'll sell it for something way cheaper than what they should. And then no one buys it because they go, well, if it's only this much, it can't be worth anything. So they hurt themselves by not putting the proper price on it.
Right. So before I get into this, there's a thing called price elasticity. And it's basically, in a nutshell, it means like the amount of money that you can really charge for a course before people stop buying it, and it depends on the course. If it's like a business course, you can typically charge more for a business course than just like a like how to lose weight course, because you're thinking like business to business is something that's going to help them make that money back, rather than a B2C, business consumer or customer, which is like the losing weight. But it comes down to like how well you can articulate the value that it's going to provide for this person. And that just comes with practice with sales copy. But when I talk about that inside the guide, there's a proven like price range that's great for good income. And it's a price range where people are still willing to actually pay. If you have $1,000 course or even a $500 course, it makes you think like, should I buy this? Like that's a little more expensive. It makes people have to consider it more. Whereas the price range I'm talking about is $47 to $197, or $50 to $200. And that price range, if you've done like a good job of doing good customer research, articulating that into sales copy and everything, and have like a good flow with your sales copy, and you can explain that value to people well enough, then right around that range is where people are going to be like, I'd be willing to pay for that. And it's not going to be detrimental. I'm not going to be able to never pay for my mortgage or something like that, or get put in some huge rut, like $50, that's like a lunch nowadays, at least where I live in California.
You're
But,
right.
yeah, it's like so sure, you could pay for lunch, or you can learn how to lose weight, and actually go through a step-by-step process.
Spend $50 instead of on lunch, lose weight, and buy the how to lose weight course. So,
Right. You know what I mean? You're losing weight while you're buying this course, man.
exactly.
So that's sold, man. I'm in. But yeah, so if you can price your product in at $47 to $197, somewhere in that range, that's fine. And what's cool too is that you can start at like $47, and maybe you sell a couple copies and you're getting like a good flow, the system's working. Then you bump it up $10. You bump it up $10. Now what you're doing is you're stretching the price elasticity. If you think about like a rubber band, if you stretch it, it's going to keep stretching, but it gets to a certain point where it can't stretch anymore. And it's just going to break.
That's
So that's kind of like price elasticity. It depends on your audience, and it's just testing. And that comes with time. It comes with data. So yeah, but yeah, that's just like a proven point. It's like 47 to 197. It makes sense for people, and it's not like a $15 course where it's like it's not really generating me any income.
right.
You know what I mean? And at the bottom of the guide, full disclosure, I don't know if you have the guide in front of you or you're just on my homepage, but in the guide you have I do like a little bonus thing where I go over the math to get to $1,000, and I use like $47. This is how many you need to sell in order to hit $1,000 or $97. And you can use that as like a little guide if you're practicing this price elasticity.
Very cool. All right. Well, let's get to number 5.
Cool.
How to sell on autopilot 24/7 without paying for ads.
Yeah, that is where you're actually, so you are on my homepage. That's what it is. So the way that you sell on autopilot is by having a good email funnel. And this is the whole topic about like, oh, email is dead. No, it's not. I can't recall the exact like statistics, but Opt-in Monster is a big internet blog, and they talk about business and digital marketing and stuff like that. And they said that email is still like number 1 in terms of selling products and stuff, because people don't really go on Facebook unless they get bombarded with an ad and they happen to resonate with it, and then they buy it. They can buy a course from there. People are more likely and have a proven track record of buying through email. So with your email, you're going to present them with more value. And there's actually like a little sequence I go over inside the guide where it's a 5-day email sequence, just a really simple thing. I learned it from my mentor, Graham Cochran. But day 1 is that you teach a specific thing that's going to get them a specific result. In my 5-day email sequence, I talk about finding like your needle movers is one thing I talk about for like the productivity course, because it's related to my course. And it goes over a little system. It's something that they can use that day. And then the second day, we talk about like taking like work sprints, the Pomodoro technique. And I go into a teaching point about that. So it's like, oh, I could go set a timer and go use that today. And then they're getting value from you in the first 2 days of opting in to get your free guide, where they got even more value from your lead magnet. Okay. And then on the third day, you teach and then transition into a pitch where you pitch your product or an offer. You put your hand out and just say, hey, I have this thing. It's up for grabs if you want it. You will have to pay for it, but it's going to be valuable assuming you've done your job right. And then day 4 and day 5, you just focus on solely selling your course, and people have this misconception too, like email, that, oh, you have to build this huge relationship over years and years before you can start selling things. And it's just not true. It's actually shown statistically that people are more likely willing to buy the sooner that they find you. So like even like your thank you page, and I talk about this a lot as well when I work with people. The thank you page, which means like people find your content, then they go onto a squeeze page to get your lead magnet or your free guide. They give you their email address. Then it goes to a page where it says, thank you for downloading this, check your email, or there's a button that says download the guide here. What I like to do is send them an email, and on the thank you page say, hey, I sent you an email. And then if you have like a workshop or even a sneak peek of your course that you have built, you can put that into the thank you page and say, hey, I sent you over your guide. Just so you know, I wanted to give you something extra. This is known as over delivering, and it creates so much trust with people. But you over deliver and give them an entire module from your course that you sell, and you're giving them one module that's going to be beneficial for them. And you say, you can check out the rest of the course here. And then they go click on a button underneath that video, go over to a sales page, and then they can learn about your course and be like, wow, I got a lot of value from that one module. I can't even imagine what the whole thing's like. And then you articulate the value and stuff inside of the sales page, and then they can buy your course from there. But people find out about it right after they just like researched you, or maybe they've been watching content for a little while from you after subscribing. They're like, this person's awesome. And then they finally opted in, got that lead magnet, goes over, they get even more value from that extra module or from some workshop that you have that transitions into selling your course or presenting your course. And then they can learn more. But not everybody's going to buy it. But the thing about a thank you page is that everybody's going to see the thank you page that opts in. Not everybody is going to see your emails because people's inboxes get flooded, so people will, and you will make sales that way. Assuming you have like good subject lines and good emails as well. And it's a relevant topic for them that they care about. But yeah, the thank you page, it's so valuable to use to sell your course.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I have so many more questions, but I'll talk to you after the show. So for people who are like me right now, who have a million questions they want to ask you, how can they reach you? What are the best ways to find you and to get in contact with you?
Yeah. So just go to my website, profityourknowledge.com. And then you can also find me on YouTube at Profit Your Knowledge on YouTube. Just type that in. Pretty much anywhere you type Profit Your Knowledge, I think you will find me. And you can always just comment on videos, or you can find me on Facebook as well. Type in Profit Your Knowledge. You can find my business page, and you can always message me through that. You can always buy a course, and then you can send comments through there. There's a lot of different ways, but I say the best way to learn more about me is just go to my website, profityourknowledge.com, and it'll point you in the direction of all that other stuff.
Excellent. Well, James, listen, thank you so much for sharing all this knowledge with us, and I can't tell you how much I'm excited about what I've heard today. So,
Awesome.
So thanks for being with us, and folks, thanks for joining us today. And again, if you want to talk more to James, I'll have all his links put below. So if you're driving, listening to this, as I tell you before, don't try to write it down while you're driving. Wait till you get home or till you stop, and the links will be there for you. So until next time, take care, be safe, and love yourself so you can love others. Bye.